what's the date today? August 20th, 2019, meeting of the Easton, Town of Easton Zoning Board of Appeals. We are currently awaiting 2 members, so we will recess until they arrive, and then we can proceed with our first hearing. Special permit 19-8, applicant seeking a permission to reconstruct a single-family dwelling after demolition for property located at 16 Kimberly Drive. Notice, Easton Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, August 20, 2019 at the Easton Town Hall, Colleen A. Corona Boardroom, 136 Elm Street, North Easton, Massachusetts, on the following petition. 6:30 p.m. Special permit, 16 Kimberly Drive LLC for property located at 16 Kimberly Drive, Easton, Mass. 02356. Assessors Map 8R, Lot 26L for a special permit pursuant to Easton Code Book, Chapter 235, Zoning, Section 235-23 and Section 235-25. Applicant seeks permission to reconstruct a single-family dwelling after demolition. Comments? Notice to the Easton Zoning Board of Appeals from Gregory Strange, Chair of the Planning and Zoning Board, dated August 13, 2019. On August 12, 2019, the Planning Board reviewed the special permit application submitted for 16 Kimberly Drive and voted 3-0 to recommend the application to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Conservation Commission issued approval of site development on July 19, 2019. There are no other comments. All right. So before we proceed, the applicant, just letting you know there are only 4 board members tonight, which means in order to get the relief you're looking for, you would need all of us to vote in favor of that. Do you want to proceed?
I will proceed.
Okay. Members sitting on this hearing, to my far right is Stephen Merlin, to my immediate right is John Curran, to my left is Jeremy Kay, and I am Michael Spillane, Chairman of the Zoning Board.
Okay, thank you.
Daniels?
Thank you, gentlemen. I think I can be brief here. Sometimes I can't help myself, and I wrote why I don't think I need to be here, but I thought it would be a path of least resistance to come and get the special permit. So essentially, this started out as a renovation project, and then we quickly realized what we thought would be more prudent would be to raise the house down to the foundation and rebuild the house on the existing foundation. As I said, the house will be maintained in the existing footprint. There will be a 500 square foot increase, about 540 square foot increase in addition to the existing 1,438 square foot existing living space, and that essentially is as a result of a master suite that's going to go over a current 2-car garage. So again, same footprint, but the 2-car garage, we're going to go up. Regarding the special permit standards, this is a residential area, single-family homes. The home is currently abandoned. We think it will be not only not detract, but we think it will actually enhance the current area. Again, it's a single-family home in a single-family neighborhood. It doesn't derogate from the intent or purpose of the bylaw, and we don't think it's detrimental to the public good. So I'd be happy to answer any of your questions for you.
Let me just start briefly. So the property currently complies with current zoning requirements?
Sure. If you want me to get into my analysis of your zoning, I'd be happy to do that.
Well, let me without getting too far afield, let me ask you this. Does it comply with the setback requirements currently, and is there sufficient frontage to meet zoning?
So the current structure is in compliance, and the future structure will be in compliance.
Height requirement, not an issue either?
Not an issue.
Okay, and number of stories, it's just going
Not
to
a-
be
yeah.
two-story?
In compliance in all respects is the structure.
Okay. I don't have any questions, right, further.
Yeah, I do,
Mr. Merlin?
as always. So do you have a copy of 23523 with you?
I have a copy of my letter, which I believe incorporates 235. I'm sorry, which section are you looking at?
23.
I have 25, but go ahead.
So 25 is reconstruction after a catastrophe or a demolition. 23 says that the board can give you relief. And then the end, it says, for purposes of this subsection only, the term reconstruction shall not include the voluntary demolition of such structure and its rebuilding. So what does that mean?
That means that you go to 235.25. That you don't get the relief in 235.23, you go to 235.25.
Well, 23.
So if you go to 25, it says, any non-conforming structure other than a non-conforming single or two-family dwelling governed by 235.23. This is not one of those.
That's right. So it says may be reconstructed after a catastrophe or a demolition. This is a voluntary demolition and a rebuild, right?
That's correct.
So there's no health hazard to the building that exists that's where the Board of Health says you have to rip it down. So it's a voluntary. So the way I'm reading this, I don't know if I can give you that relief.
Can I have the whole section?
Yeah. Come on over and get it.
I think the difference is 23 is for a non-conforming residential structure, and this is a conforming residential structure currently.
So that's what you put in your letter. Yours is conforming, not non-conforming, hence there's a difference. In which case 25 wouldn't apply either.
Well, I was told by your zoning enforcement officer that they would interpret it as non-conforming, and they suggested to get a special permit.
So if we assume,
But how can it be non-conforming? Why, I mean, why, I'm having trouble understanding this. Why is it non-conforming?
It
As
would
it
be,
exists
it
now.
would be a non-conforming lot, not a non-conforming structure. So because the lot has some wetlands on it, and the way that the zoning enforcement officer interprets the 1 acre upland requirement,
Yeah.
it would technically not meet, it would not comply with, it would not be a conforming lot. And somehow they get to the interpretation that once it's torn down, then I strongly disagree with it, because the zoning bylaws make a significant distinction and definitions between non-conforming lots and non-conforming structures. But be that as it may, we thought the path of least resistance and the quickest way would be to get the special permit, which was what your zoning enforcement officer and the planning director recommended.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with the project. I'm just trying to figure out what it is that we're doing. I still think if it's, to me, it's not a non-conforming use. It's not a non-conforming structure, I guess, is in my mind.
Well, if it's, I mean, if the board, there's two ways to go. If the board wants to opine that it's a non-conforming structure, then we can tear down the house and build a new house with no special permit required at all.
Unfortunately, that's not in front of us, I would think, but I don't know.
But
I'll defer to Mr.
I am here on the,
Spillane.
I'm here on the recommendation of
Yeah, no, I
the
get
zoning
it.
boarding, the zoning
get
enforcement
it.
officer and the planning director.
I'd like to hear Mr. Spillane's interpretation of this.
I think the applicant is correct that they were asked to obtain a special permit because of the nonconformity of the lot, not the structure. I also agree that
235, 21, and 23 talk about non-conforming
Structures,
not
not lots.
non-conforming lots.
I don't disagree with you, Steve.
So that's the question that I had.
So if the structure is conforming and the new structure is conforming, then it is a by right.
Demolition
Demolition
and
and
rebuild,
rebuild.
that is correct.
In which case, you wouldn't need our permission.
Doesn't need a special permit, but he'd have a potential administrative appeal that wouldn't be heard until September.
I sought the opinion of the zoning enforcement officer and the planning director. I said, I'm going to come down today and apply for a permit. Will I get it? They said, no, you will be denied.
Why?
Because
Because-
it's viewed as a nonconformity.
Because they said
As opposed to
it's
non-conforming
non-conforming.
structure.
And they said, go get a special permit. And the appeal process would have been longer than obtaining a special permit.
I get it. Okay, we have some neighbors, I think.
Okay. Why don't you come up here, and if you could just talk into the microphone, introduce yourself, we just need you on the record.
Okay.
Your name and
Name and address.
address, yes.
You could use the microphone, sorry.
I'm Rita Giudini, and I'm at 15 Kimberly Drive, and I was just curious what was going up. I was hoping it was gonna be larger, so I approve you knocking it down and building this big, huge house to match my big, huge house. It looks stupid in the neighborhood. So,
Okay,
okay?
so you're in support of
I'm in
of
support
the
of it,
applicant?
yes.
Okay.
I'm happy it's not gonna be abandoned anymore, because it's been empty for a long time.
It has,
Yes,
okay,
that
fair
was
enough.
a question I
Thank you
had.
very much.
How long has it,
Oh.
how long has it been abandoned? If you know.
Don't know.
For the man, he used to live in Falmouth, and he used to come back in the wintertime, and we would plow his driveway out, and he would make a little teeny path, so he would probably come back 3 times a year. But it was like a hoarder house, I'm assuming, because it was, they couldn't get in the,
So not technically abandoned?
yeah.
They were still using
It
it?
was just, he never mowed his lawn, all the trees filled in, you couldn't even see the house. My family that used to come visit all the time thought it was just the forest over there until they came and cut all the trees down. The family was like, "There's a house over there." They thought it was just the wilderness,
Okay.
so.
Jeremy, do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Okay.
Move we close the hearing?
Before we do that, we have kind of 2 options, and maybe we'll take this out of order. If we close the hearing, we've got to vote. If you want, you can continue the hearing and see if you can, if the board is not inclined to grant the relief being requested, one option the applicant has is to ask for continuance on the hearing and see if you can convince the building inspector or otherwise to issue a building permit for the demolition and the rebuild. Or we can close the hearing and vote. Do either of you guys have any suggestions on, thoughts on
On which way to go?
what you would recommend?
What would
the
I
applicant
recommend?
might like to do? So as not to affect the
Yeah.
applicant's ability to come back for 2 years on this application?
Yeah, please don't make
So-
us wait.
No. So, as I said, I'm not opposed to the project, if that'll help you out, Mr. Daniels. I'm just trying to figure out legally how we got here and my interpretation. The neighbors aren't complaining, I'm not complaining either. That make it easy for you?
I'm also not opposed to the project.
Nor am I.
All right, I would suggest moving forward with the vote.
So we have a motion on the floor to close the hearing by Mr. Merlin. Does anybody
Yes.
want to second it?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Curran. No discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? 4-0 to close the hearing. Why don't we vote, because this is the only hearing we have.
So,
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Mr. Merlin,
I will-
seconded by
Mr. Curran?
Mr. Curran. Any discussion? All those in favor? 4-0. Congratulations.
We try to be fair with you, Anthony.
I appreciate that. And what sometimes appears simple is not so simple.
Not always.
No, it isn't.
Exactly. Exactly.
I like to let you know what I'm thinking in advance. Just, I don't want you to get stuck.
As I said, I sometimes can't help myself when I wrote what I thought in my
Yep.
letter, but
Nothing wrong with that.
thank you.
It actually helps us out sometimes when you do that.
All right, so moving on to the business meeting of our
Oh, good, thanks.
meeting. We have it's not an application, it's a request for an amendment administratively to a special permit plan, special permit that we approved relative to 44 Day Street. The applicant is here. Why don't you come up in case we have any questions? This isn't a formal hearing. So you can respond to questions if board members have them.
Sure.
So I don't know if anybody's had an opportunity to look at the plans that Suzanne sent us, but essentially, what he is proposing to do is take the garage, barn that was on one side of the house and rotate it 90 degrees so that instead of it being lengthwise, it's now more in line with the house as far as the roof line and so forth. From our perspective, we take the position that we're approving the concept plans that he submitted with the application. We don't necessarily expect everybody that files a special permit to have to come in for an amendment to the special permit, which would be a new public hearing and application every time they want to make a change to the plans. So we do have the opportunity to look at the plans and decide that administratively it's in line with what we've already reviewed and approved, and we can approve those changes and include them in our special permit file if we so choose. Having said that, everybody has to be comfortable with what we're doing, and as I said, you can ask Mr. Haynes any questions you like. Steve, do you have any?
So just describe in 4 or 5 sentences what it is that you're changing.
So I strictly struggled with the roof lines, so I rotated the barn 90 degrees the way it was prior, so that the two gables of the house and barn are facing the street. No size change, nothing else changed.
So you're just turning the barn around a little bit.
Yep, it was linear. And I
Actually,
just-
back to the way
Yes.
direction it originally was.
Correct.
Everything's the same size.
Yep.
Does that change the footprint of the garage? I mean,
It was longer, so
Yep.
it just takes the 15 feet from the side and puts it to the back. It still doesn't any further change the setback requirements.
You were here back in April, right?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah. And because I was here for that
Yep.
hearing too, and as I recall, I think there was some discussion about the way you had designed it, so you're going to be changing the way it was facing. Is that, do I remember that correctly, or?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the special permit, actually, I think what he means is it was originally in the
Yes.
location or direction that you want it now,
Yep.
but you were changing it
Yep.
as part of that originally.
Yep.
Now you just don't want to make that change,
Yep.
basically.
It was originally beyond the setback, so we pushed it back, and that's how we kind of got where we are.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. It's just that for some reason, I just remember that we had a lot of discussion, or a lot, there was some discussion
Yep.
about that, and
Yep.
I think it's
So-
just a question of access, and
Right.
and I know, not in a butter, but a nearby neighbor was,
That's how we.
was fine with it. So,
Yeah.
um,
yeah.
Do you have any questions?
I don't.
So this is our hearing more than it is an administrative discussion. Do you guys feel comfortable allowing this as an administrative change? Do you feel the applicant, this is more of an issue that should require an amendment to the special permit?
administrative.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's really not a big deal.
Okay. Jeremy, you got any
Great.
issues with it?
No, I don't.
Okay. Then, if we have a motion to accept the revised plans as part of the special permit application and file that we have, I think we can accept those administratively, file it, we can issue the applicant a letter and just say that we're accepting these administratively, and to the extent you need to re-record any plans, you'll have to do that, but if there are any, I don't think you have any that you've recorded at the registry, but
Okay.
if there were, you'd have to do that, but.
So I'll make a motion to accept the revised plans.
Okay. Motion made by Mr. Curran to accept the plans, the revised plans administratively, and to add the plans to the special permit application that was previously submitted and approved by this board.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Merlin. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Oops.
4-0. All right.
Thank you
Good.
very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Can I make a motion to adjourn?
Not yet.
No, we didn't do minutes.
I got meeting minutes to approve.
First leave without the dough by
Anybody want to make a motion to approve the June 18th, 2019?
Okay, Walter, take care.
Anybody?
I'll move to approve the June what was it, June 19?
June 18th
18th.
meeting
June
minutes.
18 meeting minutes.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Curran, seconded by
Second?
Mr. Merlin. All those in favor? All of us. Motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Made by Mr.
Seconded.
Merlin, seconded by Mr. Curran. All those in favor, 4-0.